I want to talk to you guys about the Aurora Borealis, also known as the Northern Lights. The Aurora Borealis, we are told that it is caused by the sun, which is 93 million miles away, and it's 800,000 miles in diameter. And they say it takes 8 minutes for the sun's photons to reach the Earth, and when it reaches the Earth, it is scraping the electromagnetic field that cocoons or protects the Earth. Now, the Earth is not a ball, and if it was, there is no picture of the Earth as a ball. There's not one picture of the Earth that proves it is a ball. When we look at those CGI images of Earth, we are told by NASA that it's basically thousands of images from satellites that are floating on balloons, such as the Chinese spy balloon. It was just China, America, Russia. We all have satellites, and they're not in space. They're all floating above the surface of the Earth, hanging on balloons. They're not floating, they're actually hanging. So here's the point. The sun is underneath the dome field, electromagnetic field shield. It's not, the Aurora Borealis is not the friction of photons hitting our field. It is actually a pulse coming out of the center. So that they reversed it, saying it's the photons from the sun hitting the Earth. No, it's light plasma being projected into the sky from the volcano, vulva, womb of all creation, source of all creation. Plato called it Mount Atlas, which created Atlas, the whole world. This is Atlantis. So no matter where you are, you're in Atlantis. This is the Atlantic Ocean. It's the entire ocean. There's not 7 oceans. There's not 7 continents. It's one ocean, one continent. Pangea or Atlantis. This is the Atlantic Ocean. The sun is underneath here. They tell you it's a solar flare. It's pulses because Earth spells heart. So head is heaven, hell is heel, and Earth is heart. There's a pulse here. So basically, there you have it. It's all being inverted. The sun is not huge. It's small. It's an orb of light going around our North Pole. That's why if you go to any northern country, you will have a polar day where the sun doesn't set. It appears to walk on water because it just goes along the horizon. It doesn't set. The sun never goes under your feet. It's above our head. So we're not on a sphere. We're in a torus field donut. It's like a disk magnet. And all magnetic fields are the same. The energy swirls out of the top, swirls into the bottom, swirls out of the bottom, swirls into the top. We don't know what's underneath the Earth. All we know is that the lower you go, the deeper you go, the darker and more dense it gets. The more dense it is, it's physical. The higher you go, the less dense it gets, and the brighter it is, and the less physical. It's non-physical. There's no planets. They even say Saturn and Jupiter are gas giants. It's all gaseous up there. Nothing is physical. They're all lights in the sky, luminaries. Down here is what's physical. So there you go. Earth, then the water, then the air, then the fire, then the luminiferous ether. Everything is ether.
Welcome to Rich Planet TV. I'm Richard D. Hall. Today I am going to be talking about the work of Nigel Kerner. Now, Nigel authored his first book in 1997 entitled The Song of the Greys. He wrote another book in 2010 entitled Grey Aliens and the Harvesting of Souls. Now, to discuss these books, I'm joined today by two of Nigel's researchers, Danielle Silverman. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you.
And Professor John Biggerstaff. Welcome, John.
Hello, Richard. Given this scenario and what Nigel hypothesizes is that really in the same way that I mess with organisms on plates, that these guys were messing with us as a species, really looking for advantageous genetics. They only care about whether they can mess with our genes more efficiently. And it turns out that the molecule melanin, actually, you know, when we mess with genetics and stuff, one of the ways in which we can do it is to use things like ultraviolet light to actually splice the genes in the cells and actually alter the genetics, or to get things to, you know, things we put in to actually take, so that we can almost microsurgically implant them in the cells. The thing is, if these cells have got a lot of melanin in them, it's a dark pigment, it tends to absorb that light and diffract it and turn it into vibrations, etc. And then the light just doesn't get where it's really supposed to go. Mm-hmm. And faster if deliberately put in there.
Right.
But there is a special, do you want to explain the special about melanin and how it protects the cell, the DNA inside the nucleus? That's very important.
Part of the reason you can't do these experiments, you know, where there's a lot of melanin around, the melanin actually in a lot of people, in black people, it's actually spread out through the skin. It spreads out through the cells and covers everything from the actions of the ultraviolet light.
There's no doubt in people with higher melanin, natural higher melanin, that it's far more likely that that melanin will be coating the nucleus, the cell wall of the nucleus of the DNA. Now the point about that is that ultraviolet light, which is often used to splice DNA, is blocked by that melanin. It absorbs it. It doesn't allow it in to interfere with the DNA. And it could well be, and this is Nigel's thesis, that this was a blocker for them when they were trying to genetically alter the species. And therefore, when maybe just out of random mutation something like an albino came along, they discovered, wow, we can get straight in.
Right.
And it may well be that the paler-skinned people on the Earth have that pale skin because of this genetic experimentation to make things easier for them to work on human DNA. And in fact, Professor Steve Jones argues that this thing about vitamin D being, paler skin being there to allow vitamin D to be absorbed and so on, all these theories about why pale skin happened in the first place, he believes it's not an adequate explanation. There is no real explanation or justification for the need for pale skin at all.
Yeah, because I think if
dark skin is always an advantage in every circumstance.
Right. Because most people would just automatically assume, well, they went to live in the north where there's less sun, so therefore their skin changed colour. But that's not the case.
According to Professor Steve Jones, an eminent professor of biology, that is absolute nonsense.
Right. Okay.
There's just no reason at all for pale skin.
You would want to absorb more light. And, you know, I mean, why did we lose hair if we came to a colder climate, etc.?
Yeah.
So obviously something's wrong with that idea.
Right. All right. And Nigel contends that the white races, the northern European races, have probably had the most interference from this outside entity called the grey alien.
Yeah, and he doesn't say that. It's very important to say he doesn't say that from the point of view of a kind of reverse racism.
Right.
It's just he's letting us know that, right, that's there, you may need to do something about it, and maybe suggesting ways that we could do something about it. And if you look at the record of the European nations throughout history, in terms of colonialism, imperialism, and what the havoc they've wreaked on the world, it makes the point
that
really.
It's the blue-eyed white racists that have got their finger on the nuclear... well, I mean, what about China? Because he mentions the Chinese as well, doesn't he? He says that they've had significant intervention. Am I right there?
That's right. Yes, there's been interception all across the board. They found ways of doing it, but the most efficient way to do it is on cell nucleuses that aren't protected by the melanin shield. Right. That's just the most efficient, easiest way to do it.
Some oil. This is the Freemasons. This is Hindu. This is your spine, and that's Egyptian. That's right. Because guess what? It's called Santa Claus when he comes down the chimney and gives a gift to us. This is the Santa Claustrum. It's in your brain, and it comes down and it gives a gift to us, and it goes back up. So this is why Jesus dies at 33 years old, because it goes down your spine and back up. The Christos, or the golden oil. In Greek, Christos means gold. So the claustrum is up here, Santa goes down the chimney. That's because Jesus was in Nazareth with his mama, and then King Herod wants to kill Jesus, so Jesus must go all the way down to be born in Bethlehem. Then he goes back up. See, he's going down this river and back up, down the spine and back up. So this is Kemet in Egypt. This is the Jordan River. So the Jordan River is a little tiny replica of this, because this was the lotus flower, or your spine. So this represents your spine. If we know that this did represent your spine, which it did, then undoubtedly the Jordan River represented the spine, just like the Nile River. This is for you ignorant churchgoers, I swear. Candy cane is red for feminine, white for masculine. It's the two nerves, the Ida and the Pingala, the sun and the moon. So the Pingala is the pineal gland, that's the Ida. That's the pituitary, the negative component, and the pineal gland, the positive component. So you have the milk and honey, the gold and silver. This is the promised land. So when, what's his name? Jack climbs the beanstalk. He goes up his spine and finds the golden egg in the gray clouds, which is the gray matter in your brain. Well, look, Saint Nicholas is Saint Nagalis. Naga means serpent. That's why when Thor takes the Bifrost Bridge, this is your thorax, which is 12 vertebrae. There's 12 vertebrae of your thorax, thoracic vertebrae, and there's 12 ribs on each side, 24 ribs. So there's Arthur and the 12 knights at the round table, your 12 vertebrae. Jesus and his 12 disciples. Thor takes the rainbow bridge, which is your chakras, your spine. Arthur is the only one who can lift the sword. Thor is the only one who can lift the hammer. Because you have to be worthy. Raise your frequency to go up. Pituitary gland, pineal gland, and your optic thalamus. So the energy goes down from your claustrum, the oil at least. The oil goes down the vagus nerve to the sacrum bone where it pumps it back up. And it actually activates your third eye and it illuminates the crown chakra. This is the Pingala and the Ida, and they mix and they come back up. And your skull is the Holy Grail, and that's why it's the elixir of life, the fountain of youth, because your skull is called a fontanelle, that little hole at the top of all the babies' heads. It's literally called a fontanelle at the top of the head because it's the fountain. So the energy goes from the bottom to the top, and the snake grows its wings.
Is it just me, or like you don't feel like eating no more? Like, I'm just watching too many videos of stuff that ain't what it's supposed to be. Like, I'm looking at this turkey bacon like, that could be my cousin. Then I'll be thinking, like, opening my refrigerator, like, I don't know what is going on in here, because, like, Whole Foods is a whole lie. Like, everything is just, and you can buy the most expensive stuff. I don't care where you shop at. They still mess with it. The chemicals, the chemtrails, like, the water. Like, I'm scared. I'm not enthusiastic to eat anything. I just told my husband, I said, I'm going to step away from meat for a little bit. And I'm going to see how we can do this. And my children. Because I be seeing all these moms doing detox and the kids coming out with parasites and worms. And it's like, what? Like, I don't even want to eat. I don't want to eat. Like, I'm not enthusiastic about nothing. Like, I don't, like, should I even drink the water? Like, I don't know what to do anymore. Scotty, beam me up, Scotty.
So a lot of people were asking me for examples of primary water because they were never taught it. Reason being is our educational system was taken over by the Rockefellers in the 1900s, and then the media was taken over by Operation Mockingbird in the 1960s. So both systems do not teach about primary water, which is right here. This is the combination of hydrogen and oxygen coming in from inside the earth at a volcanic pressure to create brand new water, living water. Water that does not contain fluoride, that does not contain arsenic, that does not have pharmaceuticals or drugs or anything inside of it. It's pure. And that's why back in the day when they were going into mines and they were trying to mine, for example, copper or gold or silver, whatever it may be, these mines would actually flood out. They would have to get pumps to try to pump out the water because the water was just coming in through the walls because there is so much water underneath us. But the media will always try to put the fear that we are running out of water. They start putting all this drought stuff and that we're running out of water. And then now, because we are running out of water, supposedly because we are supposedly using it all up, they're trying to usher in, for example, water police, water taxes, and all these water basically restrictions so that you can't grow your own food, you can't water your lawn, you can't wash your car. So it's important to be aware of primary water, the water you have never been taught about, at the primarywaterinstitute.org, so that you can remove the fear and never live in the fear that we are actually running out of water.
I haven't been sick for 35 years with this natural homemade antibiotic. My vision is clear, my mind is clear, my blood pressure is regulated, and my immunity is not low. We will need a piece of ginger. Ginger improves digestion, improves appetite, reduces the level of cholesterol in the blood, and strengthens the blood vessels. Let's cut it into slices. If you're enjoying the recipe, leave a I like to always receive our tips. Now we will need a medium-sized piece of onion. Let's cut it into small pieces. The purple onion contains many useful vitamins for our body, strengthens the immune system, and has a bactericidal and antifungal effect, and balances the blood sugar level. Now we will need 5 cloves of garlic. We will peel and remove that white part that it contains in the middle. Garlic is very important for our health. It strengthens the immune system, helps against bacteria. It is excellent for our health. To release the allicin, it is important to cut it into small pieces. Now let's take it to a pan and add 500 milliliters of water. Now tell me which city you are watching from. Take it to the fire, and add a spoonful of turmeric, then let it boil for 5 minutes, then remove it and let it cool down. After it has cooled, you should pass it through a sieve. Then we will add some lemon slices. The lemon contains several benefits for our health. Lemon controls blood pressure, fights premature aging, prevents iron deficiency anemia, among other things. The next ingredient is totally optional. which will be the natural honey. Add 1 spoon only of honey and mix very well. You can store this drink in the refrigerator. How to use. You will take 1 tablespoon in the morning on an empty stomach every day. By doing this, I am sure you will receive the benefits. If you've seen this far, it means you like it. So tell me a score from 0 to 10, and the name of your city. That way I can greet you and send you a big hug. Today's hug goes to Taina from Portugal. Thanks for watching and sharing our videos.
You constantly watch the news and don't know we're programming thoughts and biases in your head.
Thoughts are not my own.
Good boy.
Oh, you like social media, right?
Death, racism, negativity. Good luck being tired and depressed. We made video games addicting so you'll never actualize your dreams. You figured out the truth, now we will silence you. Firing squad in 3, 2, 1.
It is always the ones they call crazy.
We got to put our heads together to do projects to give the consumer, people, what they want, and stop letting the government tell us what to give them. Give them laughs, give them entertainment, because that's what your dollar pays for. Yeah. People, we don't speak to each other, and we are lunching. We're pulling guns, we're taking each other, and this world ain't supposed to be like this. This is all wrong. What I'm saying is the powers that be know that you can make it all right for people in America. We don't have to have all these homeless shelters. Why? Because you can stop building bombs and build apartment complexes and places for people to live. You know, I believe me, I like the money that we get to make from entertainers, but then how can you argue about teachers not get paid their money? Man, I think teachers are the closest people to your kids, so they can teach them and educate. Kids only know what you nurture into them as a child. So I'm telling all the neighborhood kids that anybody ever tell you can't do it, or if you believe in your God, but most importantly, keep the faith, because when everybody else will abandon you, God ain't going nowhere.
I'm pretty sure we all know what happened to him after that interview. He was literally running down the street saying they're trying to get him and telling people they need to fight the establishment.
Saying that black people are genetically superior to any other person on the planet Earth through science. You know why? Because we're not organ harvesting motherfuckers just to survive. Y'all are. So somebody got some type of inferiority going on where they got to steal a motherfucking heart and have it rolled up in the mat in the school. Okay? When we dealing with organ harvesting, the number one person that's causing all the organ harvesting is Europeans. We not stealing motherfuckers' hearts and shit like that just to survive. Now, when we going into the science of genetics, right? Because I'm gonna hold some of this for the next round. This is a statistical fact coming from skincancer.org. Now, I got a screenshot, so whether they take it down or not, I got the reference. Every 57 minutes, one white person dies from skin cancer. That's not normal, considering the fact you live on a solar-based planet. That's like every 57 minutes, one goddamn fish drowned from being in the water. That's not normal from being in a habitat that you're supposed to be natural to. If you're natural to the planet Earth, you should be able to live anywhere you want to live on this motherfucker without it destroying you. African people, we can go live in a cave, we can go live in the sun, we can go live in the goddamn snow, we can live in any type of habitat on this planet Earth and be unaffected in a negative manner, but you cannot. This shows that you do not belong. Now, when we're dealing with genetic superiority, we're stronger, as I stated, and I'll go into that more in the next round. We are the only pure humans, which y'all just continue to skate around that. No, anybody that's not African is not a real human being, bro. So the reason I'm saying